Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's DigiTalks. We're just about to start in the next 2 minutes. Just give us 2 minutes to allow everyone to join in, and we should be starting. Definitely next. Juu unajua pressure. Why does pressure happen? Sometimes ni kwa sababu ya unafikiria kitu sana. Basi kazi saa zingine iko chini kitu ulikula usisikii kitu.
All right, welcome so much to today's DigiTalks. I hope I'm audible enough. Someone could confirm to me on the chat box, but thank you so much for making time to be here and on time. We really appreciate that, and we want to honor your time by starting immediately. So thank you so much for making time. Welcome to DigiTalks 2. This is a platform or webinar that is organized by Digital Connect, just to bring in key different professionals and industry players to have conversations around digital transformation and digital talks, especially with the current evolution into the digital space. So thank you so much. Welcome. My name is Natasha Musyoki, and I'll be your moderator for today. Now, my first assignment is quite easy. My first assignment will be to welcome our CEO at eDigital Connect, just to guide us and to, welcome us and to make us feel at home, so that we just don't invade the space without order. Allow me to welcome her. Sylvia Kabiria is the CEO of eDigital Connect. She's also a DigiTech entrepreneur, the founder of Kachi Found Digital, Africa Business Warriors, and she is also the lead of the eDigital Africa Summit, which happens annually, again bringing different professionals again to have those conversations around the digital space. Before I invite Sylvia, that's her profile. Before I invite Sylvia, a few in-house rules. I would advise and recommend that all of us to have our audios muted, just to ensure we don't have a lag, and also videos, and unless you're a speaker, to also make sure our feed is okay. We'd also encourage a lot of participation from the chat box. Keep the conversation going on the chat box, put up your questions there, and also just to use the emoticons that Zoom provides, whether it's a clap, whether it's raising hand, just so we know that we are together throughout the webinar. So Sylvia, welcome so much. Over to you.
Hello, hi everyone. It's so good to see all of you today. I'm so happy that all of you have made your time to come and participate in this amazing conversation. Please allow me to start by introducing us. eDigital Connect is a product of a company called Africa Business Warriors. It's an ecosystem of digital marketing and tech professionals and entrepreneurs in Africa. And DigiTalks is one of our very many webinar series and virtual events, whereby we bring in digital and tech professionals and entrepreneurs to discuss different topics in digital transformation. So this is what we are going to be doing today, and our main topic today is data security, which I'm really looking forward to. And yeah, let me also introduce our amazing partners at DigTalk Group. DigTalk Group is a company that provides services in digital and media content service, content creation services, and you can check them out at digtechgroup.com. We have them in the audience. So they're gonna paste a link to their website. You can visit them and see the amazing work that they're doing. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Natasha, I think now we can begin so that so much time. But I can see we already have our amazing panelists. So yeah, let's wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. That was quite an introduction to the platform. I think we are now well versed. So thank you so much even for finding time to organize such webinars for our growth and for our learning. Thank you. So I can see our panelists are already here. All our panelists are here. Would like just to go through their profiles, and as I do so, I'd also request them to just put on their videos so that we can see them. I'd also ask our host to help me mute our new entrants. Again, on the house rules, let's make sure our audios are muted as well as our videos. So our first panelist and speaker is Ian Moiruri, who is an IT professional with experience in software applications such as finance and audit automation, data security, privilege access management, voice, and fintech. He also doubles up as a corporate MC, a good one, I must say, with a bias in tech. Ian, if you can hear me, welcome so much. Probably we can just do a mic test by you saying hi to us.
All right, thank you, Natasha. Thank you for the wonderful and beautiful introduction. Good morning, everyone. I echo what Natasha and Sylvia have said, that thank you for making time on a Saturday to be here for this particular webinar. We totally appreciate, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here. Looking forward to an engaging session. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you. I get to host, the most sought out host in the country currently in the tech space. Thank you so much, Ian. It's good to see you. Our next panelist is Nelly Nyadzua. I hope I've not butchered your name, but Nelly is a certified AWS practitioner, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity specialist. She's passionate about the security of data and the use of AI models to accurately predict solutions that are sustainable and precise. She's competent in both qualitative and quantitative research approaches, and as part of her work, she has contributed to forming the Reimagining Youth Engagement Report, a forum held by MasterCard Foundations and Young Africa Works. She has also developed the National Communications and Advocacy Strategy for TVET subsector in Kenya, a project by the Ministry of Education, the Joint Subsector Working Program, and the Technical Working Group on TVET and Youth. Wow, what a profile. Welcome so much, Nelly. It is good to have you. If you can hear me, you can just say hi to us. It's lovely to have a lady in the panelist as well.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. And yes, it's Nyadzua. You got the name right. Yeah, I'm happy to be with all of you here and we are going to learn and interact. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nelly. It's nice to see you. Our next panelist is George Njuguna. George is a cybersecurity consultant at SilentSec, and he's part of the communications committee at ISACA, the Kenyan chapter. He's passionate and knowledgeable about securing systems, infrastructure, networks, and information assets by applying hardening practices and control across numerous technologies and platforms. He remains committed to enhancing cybersecurity resilience through the entire IT ecosystem, people, processes, and technology. George speaks a lot about data security and cybersecurity. It's good to have you, George. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Natasha, and thank you everyone for making time to join this webinar. Looking forward to an engaging session. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, George. It's nice to see you this Saturday morning. And our final speaker or panelist for the day, ladies and gentlemen, is John Wafula, who is a full stack data scientist at ICE Africa, or rather AI for Center of Excellence. I hope I have that one right. And he's responsible for data mining, modeling and analytics. His career is founded on building broad-based data-intensive applications, overcoming complex architectural and scalability issues in diverse industries, spanning across functional businesses and finance units, healthcare, insurance, among many others. John previously worked at PwC, KPMG, and Access as a data consultant. And he has also worked with Kenya Markets Trust and Clean Shelf Supermarkets on problem-solving assignments. John holds a BSc in Applied Statistics with Computing from Moi University, a certified CPA by profession, and is an active machine learning researcher and regularly speaks on ML and AI and data science. Karibu sana, George. Or rather, John, sorry, John.
Thank you, Natasha. I'm more than delighted to be in this space today. I didn't realize my bio was that long, but special appreciation to everyone that has made space to be here. I'm looking forward for an insightful session. Yeah, so thank you.
All right. super excited to have all of you on site and on board. Welcome again to everyone. Karibuni sana. Feel free to use the chat box to put up your questions, to put up your comments, to engage with the speakers. We shall have 2 Q&A sessions. Just to, for you to also have an engaging session. We also encourage, again, a lot of interactions through the reactions platform provided at the bottom of your screen. And I'm sure at the end of this 1 hour, we will have learned, or rather we'll have moved in our data security conversation. So, almost immediately allow me to start by having a conversation. We won't really be, having the interview-based webinars, but we'd just like to have conversations around, data, since coming from most of the speakers, we can see that most of them have a tap on space in data. So, and we've been hosts to kindly help us with that so that we ensure there is a flow of conversation.
You'll need to mute Arnold. Arnold Makumba is the one who's having an issue. That's the guy we need to mute.
So Arnold and Sarah and Arnold and Sarah, kindly mute your microphones. Thank you. Thank you so much as you do that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get into it. So again, my name is Natasha Musyoki. I'll be your moderator for today. I also have background in data. I'm a data analyst, and I'm also currently the data officer at Food for Education. So right immediately to our first panelist, Ian, you have stakes, or rather you do a lot of business development. And from your experience in terms of business development, I'm sure marketing is part of part of the JD, to ensure a good business is sustainable. So what have you seen is the balance between, marketing and oversharing information, especially in the digital space, especially right now, where we are having a lot of, marketing on the online spaces, and we have business sharing their data to, to attract customers and clients and stakeholders. What is that balance between marketing, building a brand, and ensuring you're not oversharing data?
Right, thanks, Natasha. Yes, I've been in business development for quite a while, also in the tech space. My only disclaimer is also that I'm not a full-on techie like John Wafula here. I know him, he on the back end, he can be able to just come to understanding like what really goes on the background. But if I can start off on a personal level before I go to a corporate level, I know there's, if you have a sales orientation, they will definitely say that you can never overshare. It's always good to just give out as much information as you can, but there has to be a balance. On a personal level, I actually had to come to the realization that I cannot just go out and share anything on my social media handles. On a personal level, what I take advantage of is on the stories because it doesn't stay there. But I don't want to give so much information. Reason being is because when it comes to data privacy, we're coming into the era where even recruiters are going all the way to check you out on your social media because yes, you might have the qualifications, you have the papers definitely, but they'd like to kind of see, they want to see, the social media handle gives them like a Hogan's test for them. They're able to tell your temperament, your habits, your attitude, the things that you love, and then they get to see, is this a culture that I want to bring into my organization? So on a personal level, you really have to be very, very careful about what you put out there because it'll set you up for failure. The way they say, the internet never forgets, all right? Probably you're going to hold a political office in the next 5 years, and then someone comes to your social media handles and then they see you talking badly about the government or this and that. Yes, we are strongly opinionated, but we have to make sure that whatever we're going to post, it doesn't affect us for future, because as they say, the internet doesn't forget. Then secondly, when it comes to the corporate level, you need to make sure that the kind of information that you're also sharing out there is in line with your value proposition, it's in line with your mission, it's aligned with your vision, and it's also in line with the company core competencies. Let's say, for example, if I am, just as an example, if I'm going to do an advert about selling probably Pampers for kids, you know, if I get an influencer like Calligraph, you know, or Yashinsky to come and just try and push that brand, it'll definitely hit a hard wall. Yes, he has the following, but you have to align with the right people who can be able to push your product forward. All right. So when it comes to just finding a balance, make sure that even the influencers that you're going to come and associate yourself with, they're definitely in line with your brand. So what I just want to just say in a very, very high level is that, one, on a personal level, let's make sure that we are able to just find a balance in terms of the things that we are sharing on the handle, so that now it doesn't affect you as a person and also the brand that you work for. Then secondly, when it comes to the corporate, definitely now we have positions like digital marketing that were not even there, and their core focus is making sure that they're able to sift out the information that is going out there. It is very, very, very key in finding that balance. However, I believe that these handles and the internet at large has become such a weapon that can be able to be used positively out there.
Wow. Wow, that's really well put. I love how you started from a personal level, because even in the past, we've seen people lose jobs because of, you know, a post they made on Twitter, probably even as a joke. So that's really well profound. Maybe just picking up from that, and from a more probably back end point of view to Nelly. Nelly, what are some of the security threats that you have experienced in the digital space, or where, as a cybersecurity specialist, what have you seen are some of the security threats that businesses have experienced? In the past, we have seen many companies across the globe, you know, getting into trouble because of, you know, collecting data and all that. So what are some of these threats associated to the digital space?
Okay, so from the most common one, it will come from threat against data. That is the data leaks and data breaches, where attackers always come and try to get the information that the company holds to use them to attack the clients. Then there are ransomwares where the whole organization is put on hold, and then you have to pay some cash so that the attackers can now release the data. And that is pretty risky, because imagine in a hospital and you can't run the systems, you can imagine the type of inconvenience it would happen. Then there are malwares. These ones happen when you download applications and they're not from authorized sources. And then, you know, it comes and scrapes data from your phone, from your computer, and yeah. Then there is misinformation, disinformation. There is also a threat against availability and integrity of the data. And then the malicious threats where, like humans, we are weak. Sometimes you're just careless, or you're in a hurry and you don't take care of the procedures that you need to protect the data. And yeah, the data becomes not well put, and it can be attacked, it can be stolen, and someone else can get access. Then there are phishing attacks where links are sent via emails and people just click through and they don't see that this is not from an original source. Sometimes it's also from SMS. I know in Kenya, we are used to those SMS that we get, Tuma Pesa, I think, set imepotea or something, you know, these common texts that we get. Yeah, swishing. And then there's wishing, where people call you And because of urgency, someone tells you, oh, something has happened, send money quickly, and you react. It's human to react. You react, you send money, then you realize, oh my God, it's not the real person that I was talking to. Yeah. So it happens even in the companies, like supply chain threats, where the attacker attacks the company in question, and then they steal all the customer data. That includes from name, from contacts, to even credit card information, addresses. And it's pretty risky because with that information, you can really get a lot. So yes, those are some of the common threats, but there are a lot of them that happen in this digital age because everything is there in the internet. So yeah, you can imagine.
Yeah, that's true. We have just started the conversation right deep with data threats, but our webinar today is centered around data security, the digital age. So probably I'd move to George, who is also a security consultant. George, how would you really define data security? Because we have started by looking at the threats and what surrounds it, but how would you define data security from your end?
Right, thank you so much, Natasha. So when you talk about data security, we are talking about all the measures and the controls that we put around the data processing facilities to ensure that the data is protected. So we have the data privacy and we have the data protection, or rather the data security. So they are used interchangeably, but basically they're talking about the security measures and the controls that you must ensure they are upholding the CIA triad, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. So the measures that we'll put around, be it organizational, be it technical controls, whether it's the preventive or the corrective measures, all those measures that you will collectively put together to ensure that the data is secure. That is when now we talk about the data security.
Oh wow. Let me just pick up from what you said. We had started the conversation with the balance, especially in the social media space, and eDigital Connect looks at digital conversations. From your end, as an expert advisor, how would you advise individuals to build a digital security strategy in the social media space, both for themselves and for their businesses?
All right, thank you so much, Natasha. And so as a country, as the world is migrating, we are experiencing a lot of digital migration. Of course, it comes with a lot of benefits, but also, again, with a lot of threats and vulnerability. Because, again, like everyone, including the hackers, they are trying to also find their niche and, benefit from this migration. So there is, so we are talking about the digital, or rather the strategy that we can build around that area to ensure that the data that we are processing or handling is secure. So there is the personal aspect and also there is the corporate aspect. So from the personal aspect of view, you can build a strong data security strategy by coming up with the like the basic things that you can put around you processing or the data handling. So maybe to begin with, and Ian had mentioned that you limit what you share. If it's a marketing information, you ensure that it is limited to that. You limit as much as possible to share the personal information on this digital space. Again, because as Ian was saying that the internet will never forget, and you find a lot of attackers and bad guys are using that data for their benefit. Because also, again, when we talk about hacking, data breaches, the first step that usually happens is the reconnaissance, which is the intelligence gathering. So some of these guys will go in the history of the online. They get to share. They get to see the kind of data that you shared, be the personal data, the check-in. I see a lot of guys nowadays like checking in, hanging out at a particular place, with these people and, those taggings and everything. So we limit as much as possible the amount of information that we share out there. And then also at a personal level, you can have what we call the control that you can put in place. So maybe at a basic level, you can use, especially on the areas of password, because that is one of the targeted areas. So in terms of password, we have password management tools out there, and most of them are free, like the LastPass, Passbolt. They will help you to manage your passwords to the various social media pages that you have. So if you have a password management tool, it will make the work easier for you, as opposed to reusing the password for all the social media pages that you have. So once you manage your password, you can also do multi-factor authentication, which is also a good layer of security, because whenever maybe the bad guys out there get access to your account and you have not enabled like the multi-factor authentication, it will be an easier work for them. But if you have a multi-factor authentication enabled, so like an OTP, one-time password will be required to be sent maybe to an email or to your SMS for them to be able to proceed with the access. So apart from limiting the data, using the password management tools, and also the what we are saying, the password the password management tools. So there are quite a number of strategies that you can build around that to ensure that your data that you are sharing is as safe as much. So thank you, Natasha.
Wow, I think I have like 5 questions just from what you've said. Thank you so much. Probably before I get to my questions, Rachel is asking if you could just reiterate what you've said about the password management systems, the names of those password management systems.
All right, thank you, Natasha, and thank you, Rachel, for asking that. So the one that I can recall on top of my head, there is Passbolt, that is PASSBOLT. We have LastPass, that is last, and then PASS. So those are the most commonly used open source or a free version of password management tools that will help you to manage your password, as opposed to reusing these passwords across their social media platforms.
All right, probably just to pick up from that, a question about the password management. Is it safe from a technical point to save your passwords online? So maybe like managers, yeah.
Sorry, the last bit you said?
The Google password managers, is it safe to have all your passwords in one system that are provided by different service providers?
Well, yeah, thank you. So with having your password maybe saved, especially on the browser that you normally use sometimes to save the password, it's not a good practice to have them, because when the attackers are trying to maybe get your information, and usually get this kind of request every now and then, see, George, can you maybe hack this account for me? Can you do this for me? So the first step again is reconnaissance, which is the intelligence gathering. And so the first step a hacker will do is to try as much as possible to get as much information that they can be able to get that you put out there. So when you have them saved in the browsers or it will be an easier work for them to be able to use that to be able to try and brute force maybe your social media passwords for that.
Wow. And thank you for that. So again, our host kindly helped me with the muting. So another question to you, probably before I go to the next speaker, do you think small businesses need the help of cybersecurity experts, or what's the place of cybersecurity specialists to small businesses, especially those with digital presence?
Yeah, thank you so much, Natasha. I think we've moved from a point of if I can be hacked to a point of when can I be hacked. So it's not a matter of if you can be hacked, it's a matter of when you'll be hacked. So I think the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises business, and especially with the online presence, they will need to come up with data strategy to help them remain secure on it. Because again, they are processing client information and also their business information, which again will have some litigations, again, depending on the, maybe, the agreement that they have with the client and also the regulatory authorities. So which, if they are breached, they can lead to some sort of litigations and penalties. So I think they require to have a strong data security strategy to ensure that the kind of data they are processing, it's not accessed illegally out there. And there are quite a number of strategies that they can employ. So from the organizational point of view, they can have policies that will be able to guide the organization. So policies, they usually act as the first line of defense because they stipulate what the organization is supposed to do, how they're supposed to organize their data, policies like data retention. So kind of the data they are collecting, how long are they going to retain that data? When it comes to destruction of that data, how are they going to destruct that data? Other controls they can have, such like the security awareness and training. The processes or the controls are as strong as the weakest. So if you have all these technical controls, organization controls, and then you have a weaker control, and especially around the area of human, because again, the technology is about people, is about processes, and is about technology. So if you have strong controls around processes, around technology, but you have a weak control around the people aspect of it, then your strategy or your processes, your controls will be as strong as that weakest control. So I think this is an area that people, and especially small and medium business enterprises, ought to really consider conducting company-wide awareness and training, how the organizations, or rather how the employees or people involved in the processing of this data, subject data, how they are supposed to, abide by the rules of the game. So because we are finding, especially now, the hackers, they are evolving every day. And initially, it used to be like the technical hacking and everything, but even them nowadays, they want it easy. So they won't tire themselves doing the technical hacking and everything. So they will do maybe things like phishing, things like, the social engineering attack, which is now commonly happening. And I think Nelly had mentioned that we usually get those to SMS messages. This is your son. Send me this for geometrical sets. Such kind. I actually did an article sometimes in 2017 on social engineering and especially on SimSwap. And again, I'll be doing again. I had posted a bit, but I'm resuming that. So especially this quarter, I'm going to do an article on data privacy, data protection. So as ISACA Kenya, we usually release a quarterly newsletter. So you can be on lookout for that. So I'll share more on the strategies that maybe organization can put in place. So other than the organization control, we have the technical controls. So on the technical controls, we have the preventive controls, we have the corrective controls. So at a high level, maybe the preventive controls you can have is like the IDS, the firewalls, the control policies, the intrusion detection, the intrusion prevention, that is the IDS, IPS. On the preventive bit of it, you can implement the business continuity policy. And as the small and medium enterprises are maturing, I have come to realize that aligning your businesses, aligning your processes against the best practices that we have around there. We have quite a number of frameworks like the ITIL, the COBIT, we have the ISO standard, like the ISO 27001, ISO 27002 on information security management system. It usually gives like a guidance on how you can implement some of these controls. Also, we have the BCMS on, that is ISO 22301. Usually guides on how you can implement business continuity management strategy in case of a data breach, how you can be able to recover from that and hit the ground running. We also have another one, I think it's ISO 27771. This is on privacy. It's called, I think, Privacy Information Management System. It's one of the standard or the best practice that will help align your organization, regardless of the size, whether it's a big organization, a medium, or a small enterprise medium business. It will help you to align with some of these industry best practices to ensure that you have a strong controls around your business.
Wow. Thank you so much, George. That was quite informative. I feel like I'm almost becoming a cybersecurity expert with just 2 minutes of information, but I can see a big need in small businesses really educating themselves on some of the things concerning security and digital privacy. And I think that's why we have some of these talks, and also taking time to just read. I've learned something about policies I was not very aware of, some of the policies in place, and we'll just come back to you about that a few minutes from now. But allow me to also engage with John a bit. John, you have quite an experience and a good time with big companies, PwC and KPMG. They have quite a good standing in the data space. From your time there and out of experience, what have you seen as are some of the challenges that organizations are facing in handling big data or large data, and probably what are some of the practices in place to help curb some of those security challenges?
Okay, thank you, Natasha. Okay, so there is a big niche. There is a big gap when it comes to data security, because as we know, we live in the 4th industrial revolution, and currently we are producing petabytes and petabytes of data each second, each minute. So there is a lot of data being stored, especially in the big data space. There is we're in this stage of we call it digital transformation, where we're trying to get as much value as we can from the current systems. We're trying to adopt cloud technology. So data security emerges as one of the core, or one of the most important topics or areas that needs to be concentrated. So within the areas, one of the challenges I've seen is the use of the rise of emerging technologies like blockchain. Blockchain is on its rise, it's on its adoption, but the rise of such technologies has facilitated data breaches in such terms as ransomware, where you find a black hat hacker uses some sort of social engineering to get a system or a file within your computer or within your system, which it encrypts the information you have. It after some time, it usually takes a month or two, then you will require a decryption key to access such kind of information. And most of the time, you'll find that he will demand a ransom, because it's a ransomware. He will demand a ransom, and the ransom will be paid through Bitcoin or any other crypto asset. So it's not easy to trace Bitcoin payments. In fact, it's impossible, because how blockchain works, it's through a complex encryption and cryptography of both the public keys and the private keys. So whatever the kind of transaction that takes place is quite anonymous. So blockchain has brought about a challenge. Then also the adoption of IoT technologies, because in most companies, most people are doing, they want to automate as much as they can. They want to use robotics processing automation. They want to use intelligent automation. They want to automate as much as the BPM, the business process management systems within their company. They want to automate and have as much as less human to computer interaction. They want to go to that level where we're having computer to computer interaction, where we no longer have the human input within. And as we know, it's business, so we're trying to minimize cost at maximizing revenue. But again, as we say, when we're removing the human aspect of things within our system, we are bringing a lot of loopholes. There's a lot that is unseen. So as much as we want to digitize things, as much as we want to reduce costs, as much as we want to put a lot of work on robots, we are also leaving a lot of loopholes, because there are things that require logic. There are things that only the human eye can maybe resolve. So that is a major loophole, and it has caused, I think, recently, I think the other month or 2 months, I think Uber was hacked, and it was a bit of an uprising in social media, which was just something to do with IoT and how those systems communicate. And then the other thing I've seen is when you're having when an organization having systems that don't communicate to each other. If I'm using SAP for payments, if I'm using InCMS to get data, if I'm using InCIS for probably notification, if I'm using three systems, if I'm using Salesforce for HR, if I'm using another system for this, then these systems don't communicate, or we do not have a unison within these. It's a major problem. It's very easy to compromise one without not in communication with the other. So it's when we do not bring uniformity within the systems that are current in the organization, it's a major challenge. Then also, as I was saying, the AI and the ML, the artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, the adoption of AI and ML has also comes as a challenge, because as much as we are getting a lot of information, as much as we're trying to turn data into value, as much as we're trying to get the most of what we have, it's very easy to use the same systems, the same sophisticated systems now to pose a threat, to breach the data, now to turn the tables around. So the rise of these technologies is also a major challenge. And also the other thing that I've also observed is when we do not have a proper policy, a proper data security policy. A proper data security policy is very important in that it brings about accountability, especially when we are solving a data breach, when we are solving, or when we now have a problem, but then we have to solve. One thing that comes out is traceability. How can we identify the loopholes, or where does this come from? So a proper policy, a proper data security policy will give us that on the table advantage, that it's very easy for us to trace this, to connect this and this, to get this and this, to get to trace. The traceability becomes easy, because it's a major problem when you get a company was maybe hacked, or maybe the systems were devalued or something like that, but then they can't really trace where the threats came from. So there are several measures that companies can take. There are several things that they could do, but which vary. Each company has its own level of data security. There are several levels. It could be an awareness level, operational level, systematic level, transformational level, or just on the table level. So depending on where the company is, or where the organization is, there are several strategies that they could take. Sometimes we build systems. We build systems that could actually do that, and there are also several systems that you could use to assess your level of the data security. But the the most important thing is always awareness. You need to understand the nature of the data you're handling. You need to understand the level of confidentiality, or the kind of data, the nature of the data, basically the nature of the data you're working with. Then this data needs to be classified in terms of privacy, of security, what is okay to go public, what is okay to be handled by who. There needs to be a really set up guideline for that, for classifying and identifying what you need to know. And then you need to do a systems audit of your current state of data security, because you need to understand where your weaknesses, where your strengths, and where your your current technical capabilities are. It's very key. It's very key to now start planning out. It's very key to start now executing your data security measures. Then after that, as I have said, you need now to define a policy, define your data security policy. This policy will help in guiding, it will help in building accountability within either the data securities or your employees or whoever, the first party, the second party, the third party, whoever is handling your data. Then the other thing, the most important thing I don't see organization doing is capacity building for your employees, capacity building to whoever, because your employees are the first party that handles the data. Because if they do not understand the level of confidentiality, they do not understand the levels of privacy of the data, then they leave a lot of loopholes and they leave a lot of compromises within the system. So there are several ways, there are several tools to do this, but we mostly encourage companies to bring about human input in whatever strategies they take. We encourage, because it starts with the organization itself. If we can build a culture, if we can build well-defined systems that help us do this, there will be no need for bringing about, or you don't have, it does not have to be reactive. Data security measures do not just have to be reactive, they could also be preventive. So it's about starting as early as possible. It's about understanding what we are, what we deal with, how we do an audit assessment of systems we have, how to improve them, how to work. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's basically it, but it could be extended to a lot.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much. I think John has confirmed what Ian had said, that he's more of a techie and a back-end guy. Thank you so much, John. Probably just one quick question to you. Who are some of the professionals that businesses can consult in terms of data security? Really quick.
Okay, so from my experience, I've seen I have worked with a team from IBM. I have worked with a team from there's a Prion. I have worked with a team.
In terms of titles, so are you going for cybersecurity guys? Are you going for data scientists? Who are the guys really covering data security?
Okay, it's mostly there. We have information. Each organization should have an information security expert.
Okay.
Or a cybersecurity expert, but for most that don't have, they tend to outsource. They tend to outsource the services. So okay. If I'm outsourcing a company, the company then will come with the professionals on their own.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Dr. Information security and cybersecurity, or a company that really does security. Thank you so much. That was quite quite comprehensive in terms of the tech bit of that. probably there's someone here who's thinking now, how does all this have to do with my Mutumba business? Or, I just have an online shop and it's not making any sense to me. Probably can just move over quickly to Ian and ask him from his experience in businesses, what are some of, has he ever experienced a security breach in his business? And probably in his experience as well, what are some of the security strategies they have also built as a business? Karibu sana, Ian.
All right, thank you, Natasha. I know I talk for a living, but I cannot go as hard as John. So some of the breaches that I've gone through, yes, I have experienced that. And also now the impact that would be is that, first of all, if you do not have any security strategy, someone can easily hack into your system. I looked at one website that was going viral, and I don't know if it was the developer who wasn't paid, but this guy actually put hyperlinks on that website to pornographic sites. And I don't know how that happened. And it was just a total mess. So people can easily hack a system. So it's important to have that security breach, because once they hack into your system, then you get to lose information. Someone can imagine someone getting into your email and just sending a resignation to your boss. So that definitely, you have to be very, very careful. You lose information, and then if you lose information, you lose credibility. If I'm working in the if I'm working in the services sector, I work in a hospital, and you can imagine if someone was to able to get access to my personal medical records, and probably and you know how private this kind of information can be. It can be detrimental to that particular organization. You lose information, you lose credibility, you lose clients, and definitely you even lose the brand. All right. So it is quite such a hard hit when it happens. I personally have not worked in an organization where they have been hit that hard. I know probably John and George, you understand how you're working with vendors like Fortinet, of course, with the phishing and all that, getting the right vendors. And I know that we're going to discuss that a little later on as we continue. But I definitely, that would be now the negative effect of not having those kind of security measures. It cannot be just taken blindly like that. What I also do on a personal level, on my Gmails, on my emails, I try to every so often try and make sure that I change my passwords, and then I am very, very selective of the links that I access and I accept. You'll notice that even some of the applications that you get into, there is that notification where it says, do you agree to these terms and conditions? It's like you're actually telling them that you're giving them that kind of access. Even to the simple things like cookies that I know even George and John can be able to talk about, because now you accept to those terms and conditions, and because you being in a hurry, you really want to access information and you proceed with that, you have no idea what you are accessing. If we come to the Shylocks and the ones who are given the loan facilities, I hear there's an app that they can be able to access your entire phone book, where if you default and then they start communicating to your phone book, it's horrible. So we have to be very careful of, first of all, the amount of information that we actually allow into our systems, even on a personal level. If you go to social media, for example, like Facebook, and then there's a link that you click, and then it takes you to a certain site, and then it tags every other person, and then now you have to come and say, my account was hacked. Your account was not hacked. You're the one who went and clicked that link. Don't come and tell us that it was not hacked. All right. So yes. So basically, yes. So case in point, it would be your information gets hacked. That would be the negative fact about it. You lose your credibility, and it affects even your brand. You lose clients, definitely, and also that will hit your revenue in the long and short. So definitely you will end up messing up with that. And then because you want to keep your business for the long term, you have to make sure that you work with the right people who can be able to understand that. So that is a negative hit when it comes to data security. Those are the things that you do not want to lose a client that you build 5 years on a relationship. You do not want to do that. You do not want to end up with a financial loss because of that kind of information that is going out there. So be careful. It's very, very important. And I know we're going to discuss that in the next phase on why it's important and how that can be able to be achieved. But definitely, if you look at the pros and the cons are so many if you do not have data security. There is no, this should be the first thing that you should invest in every business, all right? Even me in the entertainment company that I have, that is also the one thing that I'm heavily investing in, because I want to build a brand, and it takes time to build a brand, but it can be destroyed in a day, all right? So yeah, just take that carefully and see how it goes from there.
Ian, let's just pick up from what you've said. What's an example of a strategy that you've put up for your own company? And I also understand you have some background in AI. How have you been able to merge the two?
All right. So what happens is that, first of all, I make sure that I can be able to have someone who understands this particular role well. All right. If you look at the corporate world, we have people like chief data officers. We have people who are CISOs in the organizations who are predominantly focused when it comes to cybersecurity, information security in the organization. So one person that you need in your team, over and above having a lawyer, over and above having someone who understands the finance, it is extremely important to partner with someone who understands information security very, very well. And not only understands, but is also relevant with what is happening around. I kid you not, information technology is changing by the day. If we were to do another webinar in the next 1.5 years, we're going to be discussing something totally different, because that's how it is. If there's one industry that changes over time, then it is this. And that also is a personal challenge to us, that we need to also keep on reinventing ourselves, because we do not want to remain irrelevant. So that's the first thing. Get someone who understands this thing well. Secondly, I am able to get a vendor, first of all, who can be able to give me the security measures that I need in place. Probably to George, maybe Sophos might be expensive in terms of giving me a firewall. Maybe Huawei might be expensive, but what can I be able to afford? And what is also ranked up there when it comes to this? There's a certain table that George and John like looking at, just to see the ranking when it comes to security, and you want to see where Arista is and Huawei is and Fortinet is, so that when you're picking out that particular vendor. Sophos also is also good, Kaspersky and that kind of thing. So first of all, get the right person. Secondly, get a tool that works for you and is also tried and tested in the market and is also in line with your particular budget. So those are the first two things that I usually make sure that I employ. Then secondly, I ensure that we have some in-house training. Now, I do not want to assume that everyone understands the importance of in-house cybersecurity and the like. Even on the simple things like email etiquette, there are online training platforms that you can be able to just give people so that they can understand, why is it important for me to just put in Control-Alt-Delete on my laptop before I walk out of my desk, as simple as that, because someone can just come and easily access your information. If it is someone who is working in the bank and is a front office, they are going out to print, they leave the information there, you have no idea what has to happen. So in-house training is also very, very important in terms of even etiquette when it comes to emails, when it comes to, how to handle even the emails that also come in. They call it the phishing emails, all right? Someone who is sending an email from Venezuela, probably think it's a client, they need access, you get into that, and then by virtue of just following that particular trail, they end up accessing your information. So how do you upskill? That's the word. How do you upskill your people internally to ensure that they also remain relevant and up to speed with what is currently happening? So do that internal training for your people so that they understand that. Hire someone who understands these solutions very, very well. And then also make sure that you're also in line with a vendor and also a partner a partner who can be able to make sure that the clear SLA between yourself and that particular vendor is closely followed through, and then you're able now to achieve that. Now, also, this is one thing that I'd also encourage, especially for people who probably are running a business, you make sure that you also budget for this. Always have a budget for this, and see how you can be able to consistently just grow the budget, even as you grow your organization. There's that temptation that you want to go and Tessa, and you want to go and post pictures on Instagram, and you know that God has been good, hashtag, blessings of the Lord. But why don't you use part of that finance to make sure that you invest in your company, invest in this kind of thing. So get the right vendor, get the right person, get the right partner who can be able to work with you, and then make sure that you're always doing in-house mandatory training to upskill your people when it comes to matters on security and data security.
Wow. So this data security conversation is not just for the big companies, the Deloittes and the KPMGs and the Safaricom, to start at micro level.
No. Let me tell you one thing. This thing is so to the end consumer. It is extremely important. Let me tell you one thing. Even Natasha, it's not even necessarily for people who are running the smallest businesses like ourselves. It also goes to on the personal level, and time has also shown us that, you see people who can be able to easily just even access your phones and also your email addresses, and they're able to swindle people. I've seen that, so you have to be also very, very careful on a personal level to make sure that that data security remains very, very private. And then, of course, I just make sure that you do not give access to the entire world to what you currently do. Your website, your portfolio should be like a teaser, like a trailer. The way you watch a trailer and you're like, I need to watch this movie. This trailer is totally amazing, and that is how even your website should be. That is how your profile should be, that you're not giving too much information, but it is like the carrot and the stick, and it's just pulling someone to actually come and call you and visit your office or do what needs to be done to get in touch with you. So don't go and plaster all that information about what you do. No. Be very private. Keep the main thing the main thing. Give only the benefits of what you have to offer, especially as an organization. Just give the benefits of what you have to offer. That's enough. All right. People are even going to the point where they're not even putting the directors of the organization and who does what. They just give the benefits. So just be stingy with your information, but give it like a trailer, give it like a teaser, and let it provoke the end user to come and get in touch with you and find out more about what you have to do and what you have to offer.
Wow, thank you so much. I think you're speaking to me directly, to telling me to stop giving a daily update of my life, what I'm doing every minute, and as well to organizations. Thank you so much. You've spoken about having professionals, sourcing for vendors, and even helping us to understand it's not about just small businesses and big businesses, but also as a person and as a brand, it's important for you to have start having conversations about data security. Thank you so much, Ian. Probably we can move on to the cloud space. So I can see your questions have started coming in. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. We'll have the last 10 minutes of this webinar to answer those questions. So just post them on the chat box, and then we can have probably two people to, to just unmute their audios and speak just after this last round of questions. So to Nelly, who is also our cloud specialist here, in your experience, what are some of the cyber breaches you've experienced in the cloud space? Because now we know data is stored in the cloud space. What are some of those breaches we have on there? And what are the strategies that you're taking in place as in the cloud space or a cloud specialist? What are some of the steps you're taking to ensure there is security on that end?
Okay, thank you, Natasha. So basically, a lot of, okay, let me put it this way. All platforms are there, they have security measures, but there is no 100%. It's like DigiTalk, 99.9%, you can't have 100%. So even the common cloud platforms like Amazon has experienced breaches, Google platform has experienced breaches, Microsoft has experienced breaches, amongst many. Even the recent one, like for Amazon, the last one was in this July, this year, and Microsoft was in March in this year still by Lapsus Group. And it's an over process where you keep patching up, you find a vulnerability, you patch up, you find a vulnerability, you patch up. And not only on the cloud services, sometimes it's as simple as one person's mistake. Like the way for Uber that happened this month, September. It was just as simple as one employee who just didn't do all the security measures, and it led to a whole company being hacked. Then, like there's this Facebook, this month, they announced that there are over 400 applications in Play Store and in Apple Store that are there to look for connections and to breach Facebook contacts. That is through the photo editors, that is through the other apps like the quizzes that we usually check. So it's a warning that has been given to people that make sure whatever you're downloading to use for Facebook, it's plus a third-party application is actually a valid thing. But yeah, we have to take care because most people don't do that. Or many times you want to take a Snapchat and you're like, yeah, I like this filter. Let me take it. Let me edit my photo. But in the back end, you find that the photo editor has some code that downloads into your phone or computer and starts mining data from you. And just to add on what Ian had said about being hacked small businesses, I always say cybersecurity or attacks in cybersecurity is like going fishing. The fisherman will just cast a net, and there are fish that will be caught today, there are fish that will escape, and then they'll be caught tomorrow. So it's the same thing. There's never like I am a person in Ushago and you can never find me. It's always like you have to be always constantly vigilant. And I always say that the attackers, they have all the time in the world to attack you. So they're always putting up things out there. So be cautious of the links that you click, the messages that you forward. I always tell people on WhatsApp, please don't forward this message. Please delete this one, because some links you may forward to a group and it does nothing. But in the back end, it keeps forwarding to other groups and other groups and other groups. And all of a sudden, if you have 1,000 contacts, all their 1,000 contacts are attacked from one mistake where you do not take cautions. Then there are ways to prevent these data security breaches. The first one, which we always are against, is the physical security. You find the watchman, then they're like, yeah, why is he asking for my identification? Why is he asking me where I'm going? Why are they asking all these questions? But literally, they are there for your protection, because as much as you are a legit person to that building, there are also non-legit people where if they don't identify themselves, they can come in and they get access to the company facilities and they can steal data. Then we can have the prevention intrusion detection systems like the CCTV cameras, and then we have the access managed controls where you don't, as an administrator, you don't give everyone privileges to some accounts. You always perform the least privilege account, where one person has access to this type of data at this stage, another person has access to this data at this stage. That way you can control when it comes to breaches, the attackers come to this stage and do not proceed. Then you can have backups. You can always back up data on cloud, and then you can have a backup of backup. So just in case one part of data has been taken over, you can always recover from your backup. Then we have patching. Patching is always updating your systems. I know most people, especially if you work with Windows, and they always release after every 2 weeks. We don't like that. We don't fancy having to renew our system again, and then it updates and then it shuts off and shuts on. You always say, I'll do it later, then you forget. But most times when that patch comes through, it's because they have discovered a vulnerability and they want to close it up. But because you didn't do it, then you leave an open door. So it's like you've locked your gate, but you're in a house, you've locked your gate, but your main door, your house door is open. So if someone can get through the gate, they're very sure that they can get into your house because you've not closed your door. So always keep backing up. Then the employer education, like the way Ian has mentioned, always make your employees aware of the current trends and how to do it. And from a background of pen testing, I can always say, we also encourage that you have the random test to your employees. A pen tester can come, send some links, send some emails, talk to some people through social engineering. You'll find that some employees fall into that trap. Then now you get a report and you're told these people, they are good, but at this stage there is a question, and this stage is a question. That way, you keep updating yourself. It's like you're always being prepared. You're always being prepared from attacks from all sides. You don't wait until you've been attacked, then you say, oh, we should have done this, we should have done this. So keep doing that, contact pen testers and do all that. Then data encryption, that one is very key. It's not only for WhatsApp and Signal or making calls, but it's everywhere, especially when you're sending data that is very sensitive online. Make sure you encrypt your data, because there are some attacks like the man in the middle attacks, where an attacker comes in the middle, they can get access from the sender, convert it to what they want, and then it goes to the receiver. Then the receiver responds thinking it's thinking it's the sender, but it's the attacker. So he responds, the attacker again gets the response, and then he forwards it. So you two don't know that there's someone in the middle who's taking your information. And that is the case when I can say where people are being told, mostly it happens in over public Wi-Fi, because they're not really encrypted. You don't know who is the legit Wi-Fi, which is the legit Wi-Fi and which is the, yeah. Okay. I think someone is unmuted. So yeah. Okay.
Right.
And then we
Yes.
can have, sorry?
No,
Oh, yes.
just go ahead.
Okay. Then we can have data erasure. Always ensure that you delete data as a company. I know you collect data, we collect cookies, but there's also that agreement. I think if many people don't read, but if you read, they tell you we collect this data for this type of period, and then we delete it so that it cannot be used for other purposes. So that one is a declaration. But now, as a company, you have to live up to that declaration. You have to say, yes, if we delete data at every 6 months, yes, then you overwrite it. So when you're overwriting it, you're just making it harder for an attacker to come and gain access to the previous data. Like there's no 100%, like I said, but at least it makes it harder for data to be gathered. So you can imagine if you had 100 people, then after 6 months, you get 200 people. After 6 months, you get another 150 people. At least when you keep overwriting that data, you keep deleting the previous ones. So at least you're ensuring if you're attacked, the first 100 people are safe. The second 100 people are safe. But these 150 people, now you can cover that. You know, you've reduced the risk than covering the whole lots of the whole people who have transacted with you. And finally, I can say use antivirus. I know people say antivirus are expensive, but trust me, it's cheap according to what it's doing to what it's protecting you. Because most of the time, antivirus acts like automatically. They're always sniffing. They have a blacklist of which links that should not go through. They know which sources should not be used. So when you have an antivirus attack stable in your system, you know that when you come to click and it tells you don't go there, this is hazardous, because that is its work. It already knows that. But you as a person, I can't know the whole blacklist. So I can't know which is the correct link, which is not the correct link, because this thing is also being updated every day. New attacks are coming up every single day. So you always have to use things that are already out there, that are already dedicating their services into knowing the blacklist. So hire antivirus, put antivirus hire information security experts, have physical security, have preventive security, put up your systems, back up your data, and also make sure your employers are educated, and not just employers, also your family and friends, because sometimes I can attack you not because of your, I can attack you, the CEO, but I know you are well aware. I know your secretary is aware, but I know you have a house where you have a kid who's not aware that they can be attacked online. So I can start as much as that kid of yours. I talk to the kid online, maybe they get access to online games, and then I get access. And then in a few minutes, the kid wants to do some assignment on the laptop as the CEO. Once they log in, I already attack you. So attacks go as long as your next person. We always say you're as safe as your next person. If the next person is not aware, then you're very sure that that is the link that will bring you down. So always be ready and always help others be ready like you are. So it's a whole community thing. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. That is quite a comprehensive breakdown with very, very guided points. Thank you so much, Nelly. I think you've answered almost all our questions with those points. Thank you so much. So we have around 5 minutes to the end of our webinar. I think at this point, there are so many questions, we can never finish the conversation on data privacy and security. So at this point, I'll allow questions so that we just, maximize time and also respect your time for being here and sticking out with us from the beginning to the end. I can see our numbers are still intact. That means we are all really learning. I can see one question from the chat box. I'll also guide the panelists to use 1 minute or less to address the questions so that we can, be able to handle as many questions as we can in the very limited time. So I can see one question in the chat box. Kindly, if you have any questions, just put them up so that we can be able to balance our time with your questions. And if we won't be able to handle your question online, I'm sure the panelists will be responding to them on the chat box as we go. So the question I can see is, what are some of the controls available for fraud prevention when shopping online using Visas or MasterCard? So you're paying for your Netflix, how can you ensure security? Probably I can direct that to George, as I also asked him my last question, which is, where are we in terms of data policies and protection in this country in terms of the laws? I know we have a data protection office, but where are we at as a country? So you can just join that with Sarah's question, probably in a minute or less.
All right, thank you, Natasha. I'll be trying to be as brief as possible. So I'll start with the state of our data protection as a country, and then I'll come back to Sarah. So in terms of data protection, so it started with the GDPR, that is the General Data Privacy and Regulations for the people processing European data. And then many countries now started mirroring the Data Protection Act based on that. So in Kenya, we had a draft Kenya Data Protection Act, and it was enacted in 2019. So that's when it came to force. So I can say we are somewhere, we are taking good milestones. So because the Data Protection Act with the enaction, so it has some requirements for the data processors and data controllers. So the data controllers, okay, let me start with the data processor. Data processors is an individual or an organization that is involved with the processing of the data subject data. And the data controllers, they are the individuals or the organization that usually give directives or guides on how the data subject data is processed. So part of the requirements of the Kenya Data Protection Act is the registration with the Office of the Data Protection Commission. So and it was, I think, opened sometimes in June. So organizations are supposed to comply. And so part of the requirement, you're supposed to do a privacy impact assessment. So that's like a risk assessment, gap assessment, to identify the various gaps that you have in your organization, and then you comply with that. So as part of the compliance, you're supposed to list the control that you have put in place. And mind you, so I think I can respond to the question that we were asking earlier on, whether small and medium enterprises, businesses are involved. So this one cuts across. So regardless of the size of the business, you are supposed to comply with this. You're supposed to show the measures that you have put in place to comply with the data protection. So I think Nelly mentioned most of them. And I think at some point, Ian and John had alluded to them as well, like the data classification, having some of these policies. If you are having an online business, publishing some of your policies, having opt-in, opt-out features, requesting the consent, like data consent, like you must request consent from the data subject before you process the data. You must provide the opt-in, opt features so that you are not forcibly, processing the data. So in terms of privacy and laws as a country, we are making good progress because I think it was just recently that the Office of the Data Protection Commission was starting to enact some of these measures. And I think they released a report showing the number of organizations that have recently complied with that, registered with the Office of the Data Protection Commission. Again, I think you had asked a question about who to contact to consult when it comes to metadata security privacy. So part of the requirement of the Kenya Data Protection Act is for the organization or the individual processing data subjects data to have a data protection officer. So a data protection officer is someone with the knowledge of data, with the knowledge of security, now merging that with the legal requirement, is supposed to act as intermediate between the local regulatories and the organization to make sure that they're helping the organization with the protection of data. So coming back to the question about ensuring that you are safe when transacting online. Actually, just yesterday night, I came from a client. I was doing a gap assessment against the PCI DSS requirement. That is for the payment card industry data security standard. So I think the standard has enforced and ensured that for every organization, especially the banks, doing Visa, MasterCard, they have complied with the PCI DSS, that is the payment card industry data security standard. So I think much of this information can be gotten from the PCI DSS website. The standard is free. It has all these 12 requirements and the sub-controls. So it's free, it can be accessed. And actually, early this year, sometimes in March, April, or rather May, they released a new version of the standard, that is the PCI DSS version 4.0, with the revised and updates made to it to enhance the data security. So one of the ways that you can be able to protect yourself while using the Visa, the MasterCard, while transacting, whether paying for Netflix, in the malls, or maybe while refilling at the gas stations, is to ensure that maybe, and especially when you're keying in the password, like it is only known to you, you don't like have it known to any other person when it comes to the card data. And especially this is the backbone of the card system, the card data number, or the PAN. So you ensure that maybe, and especially while you are swiping or transacting, there is no one who is like maybe tailgating you, or maybe trying to take a snapshot of your card number, or maybe leaving some of these trails that can be used to breach that. And I think now with the attackers advancing in their technologies, in their ways, and I think a while back on the ATMs where we swap the cards, I think they were coming up with some, I'm forgetting the actual name, but there are some form of counterfeit system that they would plug into the ATMs, or some of these maybe POS, or this technology that we use to swipe the card. So it will like act as a keylogger. Maybe when you swap, it will like infiltrate and extract your data. Sorry for that. So, but I think most organizations with the compliance with some of this regulatory and data policy and security standard that has been taken care of. But as an individual, I think it will also narrow down to what we are talking about, like limiting the information we are sharing, and especially for the card data, that is key. The PAN, making sure that that is not accessed, or someone doesn't have access to that.
All right. Thank you so much. That one is well answered. Thank you so much. So we are about 5 minutes past time, but Sylvia is telling me we can take one more question. I hope it's also well with our participants. We just ask for just an extra 5 minutes so that we don't lock out anyone who has one last burning question. So anyone with one last burning question, feel free to just raise your hand and unmute and probably ask one of our panelists. So I'm just checking out for raised hands. You can do that using the reactions tab at the bottom of your screen, so that probably we just have order. And yes, thank you. We have your initials are AN. Go ahead, unmute and just tell us your name and your question and to which panelist.
Okay, mine is a bit general, but I'll ask, we are always seeing publications of breaches that happen in Europe and US and major companies in US. Is it that in Africa or in Kenya, for example, we do not have the same happening, or what is the rate at which we are able to report any breaches, and why can't we have a way whereby on a monthly basis we are able to report X and Y happened? The banks, for example, other industries, all the industry across, whereby we are able to, without revealing too much, able to say that we encountered this kind of attack, this kind of threat in the course of the month X, so that this data will help us as an industry, so that we can be able to be prepared. Because I think we conceal too much. We tend to keep these attacks to ourselves so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We didn't get your name.
My name is Arnold Njagi.
Arnold, thank you so much. So I'll probably allow John to take that up in 2 minutes or less, kindly, as I also request Nelly and George to give us their input in the chat box, and probably Ian as well. But John, kindly, could you take that up? Because I understand you also have, you're also in the finance sector. In 2 minutes or less, why aren't you guys reporting the breaches you experience?
Oh, yes, thank you. So I can confirm with confidence that breaches do exist a lot, especially within cooperatives and SACCOs and banks. But then it's a risk and quality issues when it comes to finance, especially in consulting. You imagine the organization being reported as being hacked or as being there's data breach. Imagine the impact that could do, the kind of attrition that could do to your organization. So they do happen a lot. And you know what we are preventing is in the finance sector in Kenya, there's majorly a monopoly. And you know what monopoly happens and how media works, especially in finance. You probably heard of the 2008 financial crisis, which was caused by the media. You probably heard what happened. So it's about risk and quality, and it's also about controlling things that could probably cause a huge ripple effect before they actually happen. But I can confirm with confidence that breaches do occur, especially on a monthly basis, or they do occur. I can confirm that with confidence. But now we try to look at the impact, the ripple effect this could cause to the consumers or the customers. Yeah, so that's why they're majorly not reported. Natasha?
If I can just add on the question, yeah, like John said, they happen, but from my angle, I come where the laws, they're still not in place, yeah? Kenya, we still like a toddler in terms of data act policies and processes. So in EU and the Americas, you actually have to report after a breach, after you've checked it, you've stopped it, and you've seen the damages that have been done. You are required by the law to actually tell your audience or your customers that we had a breach on this part, and maybe 100 accounts were breached, and we'll have a support system where you can come and we'll help you through. And that's why, like in the case of Uber, the CISO is under a case right now because they covered up a breach earlier that was not in this year. But in Kenya, Africa, we are not yet there. We are not really keen on those laws. So we have a loophole to allow companies to sweep it under the rug. And maybe the maximum you can do is when you go and report, they'll give you an NDA and tell you, we'll help you, we'll investigate it, but please sign here, don't talk about it. So you have an NDA. But once we reach that, thanks for the data protection office that we have that was launched recently, maybe in the near years, they will come and take over and maybe they will follow up the laws, but they do happen. Yeah, thank you, Adol.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Thank you so much for your dedication and for your commitment to have this webinar. I think we can bring it to a close there. Ian told us we need to give you guys trailers so that we can request Digital Connect to give us, another session to continue this conversation on data privacy, security, and how businesses are attached to it. So I'll allow our panelists just 30 seconds to give us their closing remarks before I hand the webinar back to our CEO, Sylvia Kabiria, to close it up for us. So kindly, let's start with John to your closing remarks and parting shot. Then George, then Nelly, then Ian can close it up for us. Then Sylvia can take it up.
Thank you, Natasha. And no, not much from me, but I've said it's been quite an insightful session. Personally, I've got to learn from the other panelists, and we're hoping that we'll have more sessions on this. We'll engage more, and we will be able to get to learn and do more things together. Thank you, Natasha.
All right, thank you, John. It was a pleasure having you, George.
Right, thank you so much, Natasha. Thank you, Sylvia, and the leadership of Digital Connect and the partners for organizing this. So I think it's one of the ways that we are bringing awareness to the individuals, to the corporates out there, just to ensure that as we do the digital migration, we are also, taking some of the controls to ensure that our data is kept secure. So thank you so much for having us. It was a nice session. I wished it was longer, so it was just getting started. So, but I look forward to more of this. And I think maybe a suggestion, now that we have the opt-in, opt-out, and what is it called? Request of the data that we process. So maybe the participant, if they have questions, maybe through the Digital Connect, they can channel them there, and then maybe they will channel the questions to us. Once we respond, maybe they can be sent via emails or maybe a way to reach them. But other than that, they can reach us on various social media pages that we have, maybe to get clarification or some more information on that. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, and I wish you a lovely weekend ahead. And maybe to extend an invite, we have governance, risk, and compliance coming up next week in Mombasa. That is through the Isaka Kenya chapter, where we'll discuss this and much more. So thank you so much, guys. God bless you.
All right, thank you so much, George. Nelly?
My name is to say first, thank you to the audience for making a time this Saturday morning, bright Saturday. You could have opted to go anywhere, but you came here to learn, which is awesome. Thank you, Digital Connect, for this platform. And my parting shot is quite simple. If it's smart, it's vulnerable. So whatever you think is not vulnerable, it is. So always be cautious, and you can connect with me through LinkedIn. I put my link on the chat, or Nelly Nyadzua at Twitter. Just DM me, just tweet, I'll be available. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nelly. Ian.
Right. Thank you, Natasha, for moderating this session. I'd like to appreciate Sylvia and the management for the eDigital Connect. My parting shot is that we will all, first of all, understand that we are brands individually before even the companies that we work for and we work with. So that would be very, very important that you can be able to have that particular perspective even as you continue, so that now it will make you conscious in also your interactions. All right, and continue just building yourself, building your brand. But most importantly, if you build yourself as an individual brand, then definitely you can be able to continue building the brand that you work for, and you will definitely take cybersecurity to heart. So thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend, and God bless you all.
All right, thank you so much to all our panelists for taking time and sacrificing time to be here. Thank you so much. You can connect with them as they have shared on LinkedIn and continue having these conversations. eDigital Connect will also provide an opportunity for you to send in your questions. I know we did not have much time for that, but I can assure you this is only part one of that conversation. We should be continuing, to continue scaling these conversations and driving conversations around data security and privacy in this digital age. Thank you so much. From me, my name is Natasha Musyoki. It was a pleasure and an honor to moderate this conversation. Have a lovely weekend. Sylvia, back to you.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, everyone, especially our panelists and the moderator for such an amazing time. We've learned a lot, and I'm sure that everyone has enjoyed and picked something out of it. So these are the kind of conversations that we look forward to doing more even in the future. Please check back with us because we have a digital transformation webinar every month. Towards the end of every month. There is one that is coming in the next month and the month after that. And we look forward to having more of these conversation even on data security, because it's one of our topics for the Africa eDigital Connect Summit 2023, which will be happening in July 2023. We are going to share the posters and other information on how you can secure your ticket for the summit and many other events under eDigital Connect. And even for those that would like to join our community, we will share details on that. I really appreciate our panelists. That was amazing. You've shared a lot of knowledge with us that we are going to use even in our companies and our personal brands. So for eDigital Connect, you can find us on our website at www.edigitalconnectafrica.com. You can also check out our social media at eDigital Connect on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And for me, if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn at Sylvia Kaberia. That is all for today. God bless you so much. Have an amazing, superb weekend. Thank you.